This is a true story. In the summer of 2023, a man decided to attend a traveling circus that had stopped in the city. He wasn't usually one for circuses, but an old high school friend, now a gymnast, was performing, and he went to support her. The show took place in a packed basketball arena and lasted about 2 hours. After it ended, the man chatted briefly with his friend before heading home on foot. Outside the arena, he noticed a man dressed as a clown lingering near the crowd. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but a few blocks into his walk, the street had emptied, and when he glanced back, the clown was still behind him. Each time he checked, the clown was a little closer. Near his apartment, the man decided not to go inside, afraid of being followed. He kept walking. That's when he heard fast footsteps closing in. He turned, and the clown was right behind him, sprinting. Panicked, the man ran, cutting through a quiet park and into a wooded path. The clown stopped at the edge of the trees and began to laugh, a deep, chilling sound. The man kept running until he emerged on the other side at an apartment complex where a friend lived. He called and was let in immediately. Though he escaped unharmed, the encounter haunted him. He never saw the clown again, and never knew what might have happened if he hadn't run.
My dad's 28-year-old girlfriend has started momming me. Now, maybe for a helpful reference, I'm 26 years old, so this woman is only 2 years older than me. And when my dad first introduced her to the entire family, he said that she was 34, but I internet sleuthed that because she did not look that old. I was like, I need to know who does your Botox, because if you're really 34, you look great. And yeah, she wasn't 34. Actually, the first time I met this woman, she was only 24 years old and I was 22. Her and my dad dated, and then they broke up for 2 years, and I thought that was the end of her. I was never going to see that woman again, thank goodness. But no, guess who turned up at my Thanksgiving dinner this year? Unannounced, unexpected, my sister. I mean, like stepmom, I don't know. Obviously, it's always been a little bit of a weird dynamic between the two of us because she's practically my age and dating my father. But we've always managed to just get away with some polite small talk. I've never really tried to get to know her much. Can you blame me? And normally she just minds her own business. She just kind of stays near my dad and knows the situation is weird. But that all changed during our family vacation this weekend. My dad, my sister, and I always go to his cabin one weekend out of the year just to hang out, catch up. It's a cute little family tradition. But imagine my surprise when I pulled up and I saw none other than my dad's girlfriend. It grosses me out to even say that, considering the age. There. Like, we didn't get any warning. None. He did not tell us she was coming. And honestly, if he wanted to bring her, fine. That's his choice. He can do whatever he wants. But at least let us know so you don't just blindside us. And let's be honest, I could never imagine this woman spending an entire weekend in the woods. She's basically my dad's sugar baby. He does every single thing for her, pays all of her bills. He buys her everything that she wants. She only wears designer things, drives a really nice car that my dad bought. My dad never bought my sister and I a car nearly that nice. She basically lives this life of luxury on my dad's dime. That girl looked like a baby deer getting out of the car and trying to walk over all of the dirt and the leaves in her Louboutins. Like, girly, I love Louboutins, but there's a time and a place for those, and a cabin in the woods is not that time or that place. And immediately, like right when we get inside the cabin, she starts being really weird and just making it clear that my sister and I are from totally different generations than her. For example, she was explaining to us what Vine was. She was like, back in my day when we had Vine and not TikTok, it was the best. I wish you had a chance to experience it. I was like, yeah, I mean, I did experience it. I had Vine. We're the same age. Then later, my sister and I were just making fun of each other, as sisters do, poking fun at each other, laughing, having a good time. She comes in from the other room and goes, "Girls, stop it," in a super disciplinarian tone. I was like, so who are you talking to? Which girls are you talking to? Because you cannot possibly be talking to me and my sister. I guess she thought my sister and I were in a fight or something, but we could not even help it. We burst out laughing. It was absolutely ridiculous. She was acting like we were 7-year-olds fighting over a toy or something. Then, when my sister is going to take a shower, she practically body slams her out of the way and is like, "Wait, before you shower, let me explain to you how the shower works, because it can be really confusing." This is our family cabin that we've lived in for weekends at a time for years since we were little girls, and we know how the shower works. But that's what she would do. She would just talk to us like we were an idiot the entire weekend about actually everything. She made it seem like we were 7 years old and didn't know how anything would work. She also kept referring to my sister and I as the girls. Like, don't the girls just look so cute tonight? Always cute. Never pretty, beautiful, anything. Cute. The girls look cute tonight. Look. The craziest thing that she did, and what got us into a fight, is when my sister and I were watching a movie at about 10:30 p.m. on Saturday night. And she waltzes into the living room and says, "Okay, girls, it's time for bed." Time for bed? Since when did I have a bedtime? And I am still trying to be nice to the girl, okay, for my dad's sake. So I say, "Oh, we're just finishing up this movie and then we're going to head to bed." And she said, "No, that's not what I said. I said it's time for bed right now. It's time for the adults to be awake right now and have some adult time without the kids around." Adults? The kids? You're 2 years older than me. You were dating my dad when you were younger than me. But I lose it at this point. I look at her and I say, "You can play house. You can leech off my dad, but don't come in here and patronize me and my sister." I told her, "I do not want to be in a fight with you, and I promise you that is not a fight that you want to pick or that you would win." She goes right off crying to my dad about how mean I was to her. Like, girl, I have been nice to you for years, even though the situation is weird. So you should be lucky this is the first time I actually went at you. I don't know what to do at this point because it seems like ignoring her isn't an option anymore.
Don't ever forget that walking away from something so toxic and so unhealthy is so brave, even if you stumble on your way out.
Crazy ass story time about how my best friend's parents walked in on me sleeping with my best friend's brothers. And yes, I said brothers. So my freshman year, I became best friends with this girl. And she had 2 older, hot ass brothers. One was in college, and one was a senior. Well, it was Christmas break, and her older brother from college was home. And my parents let me go with them to Florida for Christmas break. They had a super nice beach house, and I was sharing a room with my best friend. And the boys were sharing a room. And our room was connected because there was a bathroom in the middle. Well, my best friend got super sick the first 3 days of the trip, so she didn't do anything with us. So I was hanging out with the boys all the time. Well, the one night we were on the deck and we started to play Truth or Dare. And one of them asked, "Would you sleep with us?" And I said, "Yeah." So at around 3 a.m., I snuck into the room and things started to get real nasty. There are kids on this app, so just use your imagination. And things started to get really loud and we woke their parents up, like for part 2.
My daddy came home early and caught me having sex at 14. Let me tell y'all the story. Okay, I'm gonna stop getting on here looking crazy. But first, let me just... They told me to push the content out. Let me just push the content. I'm trying to have fun with it. Let me just push the content. So, I was 14 years old and my boyfriend was 16. And at this time, we was having a long distance relationship. So, I would go to my dad's house every other weekend. So, I would see him twice a month. And so, we had already planned to have, sex one day or whatever. But, we was being impatient. We're kids. We're impatient. So we was just I was just come over on this night. My daddy, he gotta go to work. I know what time his lunch break is, and I know when he get off, and whenever he come home, if he come home early, blah blah all that. But at this time, it had been a minute since he came on home early. He would only come home on his lunch break, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this night job he had, I don't think he came home on his lunch break. He would come home on his daytime lunch break. So he pulled up or whatever, and so he gave my little sister, and my cousin was there. He gave my little sister some snacks so she wouldn't snitch. So y'all, we go to the bedroom, turn the TV up real loud. We get to do what we doing. You know what I'm saying? We hold down, throw down. So after I get done, on top, I look out the window. And girl, I see him pull up. I see my daddy pull up. All I seen was the tail lights, the back lights. I was like, "Oh shit, get the fuck up right now. Right now, get up." So y'all, he get up. We started throwing shit everywhere, shit under the bed, stuff in the closet. I'm like, you know what? I can't find my clothes. We can't find that. I only found one of his shoes. I don't know why we got in there and stripped each other down like we on one of them couples on the movies or whatever. So what happened? So my daddy busts in the room, right? And so the dude, he in the closet. So my daddy, he come in and he like, "Why you naked? Where your clothes at?" I said, "I just got out the shower because I had a towel around me. That's the only thing I could find." So he was like, why you naked? Where your closet? I said, I just got out the shower. And y'all, he slapped me and I fell. And I was kind of embarrassed because the closet that my boyfriend at the time was hidden in, like, it's vents, like little see-through things in there so he could see. So my daddy slapped me. I get up. He's talking to my son, where he at? If I find him, I'm a pew him. So I was like, what you talking about? Ain't nobody here. So, y'all, he leave and go to the car to go get his gun. Y'all, when I tell you, I ran to the living room so fast when my sister and my cousin was, and I started crying because I'm like, he finna find him. He finna pew him. Like, he finna be gone. So, he go back there. He go search through the room, y'all. I'm scared. Why he don't find him? So, he come back up there to the living room, and he like, come show me where he at, or he like, come show me where he at, or he said something. I don't know. So I go back there with him so I can finally just show him where he at. Y'all, he not even in the closet no more. He's out the closet standing by the bed calling his brother because that's who dropped him off. Long story short, my daddy put the weapon down and they started fighting or whatever. And he beat him up so bad. He was bleeding everywhere, bleeding all throughout the door or whatever. Long story short, after he left, my daddy whooped my ass. And then my boyfriend at the time, he had came back to tell me that he loved me and that he was never going to leave me. Now just thinking back on it, that shit was crazy. And then the next day, my daddy, the only thing he said was, y'all in a long distance relationship. You really think you his only girlfriend? Like, that's what you want to say to me? Like, yeah, I think I'm his only girlfriend. But I think so. Long story short, know your parents' schedule before you be sneaky. Long story short, about almost 10 years later, no, I'm lying. About 5 years later, I found out that my sister told, the one that was there in the living room, like, girl, he brought you some snacks, so you want to snitch. And he still snitched.
At night, I got a girl's number.
You asked for her number.
I got her number, yes.
I'm sick right now.
Story time. So my 89-year-old wheelchair-bound neighbor has been abandoned in his house by his son and previously live-in caretaker. I found this out when I was unloading groceries and I heard someone calling out, miss, hey, miss. And I look over, it's my neighbor from his front door because he can't make it over the threshold onto his porch. He's completely stuck in his home. He's calling out to me, miss, can I use your phone? And I've met this neighbor once before, about a year ago, when he was calling out the same thing, like, miss, can I use your phone? And previously, a year ago, he borrowed my phone, called his son, got a hold of him, his son came home, everything was fine. This time, however, when I go up to let him use my phone, he starts unloading the tea on me. Apparently his son is back on drugs, has abandoned him, stole his car, stole his cell phone, and basically left this man for dead. Without having a cell phone and no way to get any help, like, he was cooked, basically. Also told me that he called out to a different neighbor asking to use her phone, and she said, I need my phone, and walked away and fucking left him. If I figure out which neighbor that was, it's on site, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I let him use my phone. He uses my phone to call his son. His son didn't answer, obviously. He says, oh, he's back on drugs, like, he's left me, I've been here for 12 days, blah, blah. And he stole my phone. So then the next call he makes is to his own cell phone. A guy picks up and says, hello, like, who is this? And he goes, let's just call the old man John, to protect his privacy, obviously. And he goes, this is John, Blank's dad. And the guy on the phone goes, Blank's dad? He said you were dead. No, he's not dead. He's just been abandoned, and his son is telling you that so that he could sell you his cell phone, I guess. John was like, you need to bring my phone back, like, I need my phone, blah, blah, blah. And the guy was like, sure, okay, I'll bring it back. And so the old man, like, I'm standing there like, wait a second, like, no. And he gives out his address, obviously, and, like, I don't know these people. Obviously, the son is not running with a good crowd, so I'm, like, extremely worried. Like, you're an elderly wheelchair-bound man who is now giving out your address to people who know you've been abandoned by yourself. It's just a whole bad situation, really bad. So I get in the house. He has no food. I open his fridge. He had a little bowl of a dressed salad that he had been eating on for like days. There was nothing else in the fridge. So I went and fixed him some pasta, brought him some groceries. The way his eyes lit up and he horked that pasta down broke my heart. Like, this man could have starved to death, especially if the only neighbors he was able to call to all ignored him. But I'm just not that bitch. I'm gonna do something. Anyway, the universe has aligned and brought me on the fucking situation. And I'm doing my best to handle it. So after that first night, when we got him situated, I came straight home and I called APS. This is blatant elder abuse. This is not okay. But I had no idea how quick they were going to be. So the next day I went out, spent $50 of my own money to buy him a track phone. And as I'm at his house back with him setting up the phone, the social worker shows up. I think this is like the triage guy, not the actual social worker, but the guy who comes in first, gets everything settled, blah, blah, blah. So this guy actually brought a track phone from the state for him. And so I can't return my track phone. That's $50 down the drain. If anybody needs a track phone with like a couple of minutes on it, let me know and I'll give it to you. So we got a phone from the state and the triage social worker brought him some groceries. And then I have not seen or heard from social services again. I've called them again, like a couple more times to try to like, what's going on here? I haven't heard back from them. I'm also considering calling the Veterans Crisis Line because John is a Navy veteran. That's all the things I've done so far. So John also has a dog. His dog is like his best friend and his only connection and the only person, well, the only thing that he talks to every day. You know, his dog is so dear to his heart, but John is wheelchair bound. He can't take the dog outside, so he relies on puppy pads that he puts out in his kitchen. But it's gotten extremely messy. His wheels, like on his wheelchair, are coated in feces because he'll accidentally run some over and not really notice. And so the whole house has a pretty bad odor. I did my best to kind of clean the floor there and put down new puppy pads, take his trash out for him and everything else. But the house is not in a great state. He's also trying to sell the house right now so that he can move somewhere more appropriate for him. But he said like his realtor's barely doing anything, won't even tell him when people are coming over. And I take everything John tells me with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, he is 89 years old. I don't know his mental capacity. He seems pretty with it, but he's 89. So I'm sorry if that makes me ageist. Everything he says to me, I'm kind of, do my own research. But anyway, he said people would come by to look at the house. They would walk like into the living room and then just kind of like turn around and leave. And I can totally see why. Like the floor, when you're stepping on it, is like sticky. It reeks of ammonia in there. It's bad. And so John told me he's been trying to contact cleaning services, but he can't get anybody out there. And he doesn't know how to use the internet or anything. He's been I think he just goes off of like TV commercials or whatever, like based on who he's calling. So I reached out to a cleaning service here in Pittsburgh. They came through today and actually did a walkthrough. She said she's going to get back to me. They said there's some possibility of them being able to do some free cleaning, but she's got to take, her findings back to her boss. Like if the house is considered biohazardous, they're not going to feel comfortable sending their employees in there. And then at that point, I either need to figure out how to pay for a biohazard clean or I got to get in there and do it myself. So that brings me to the point of this video. If you've watched this whole rant so far, you're amazing. But I will be using every cent. I'm in the creator fund. Every cent from this video, I am going to spend on this man. The other update, so the city, the social worker brought him that track phone, but he absolutely cannot use it. It's a flip phone. He previously had a smartphone. He's used to texting on his smartphone. He can use the keyboards and the touchscreen, but he cannot make heads or tails of texting on a flip phone. So yesterday, his other son was supposed to come out and help me with this, but never showed up. So I just went to the Cricket store myself. I spent $142 of my own money again to buy him a cheap smartphone, get him the first month of the plan set up. So now he can like text people and actually use his phone and feel a little more connected and a little less alone. That's the other wrinkle of this, why I ended up, he did give me like his debit card and his ID and everything to go to the Cricket store and get this set up. But I know he's on a fixed income. He gets Social Security, and his drug addicted son actually stole his Social Security check for this month already. His son was on all of his bank accounts and everything. And then when he got back into drugs, drained him dry. I think he has like mobile banking. So as soon as John's Social Security check hit this month, it had already been withdrawn. So that's $500 down the drain. Luckily, his good son did help him get set up with new bank accounts. So he is helping and doing his best. And I don't know their family situation or anything like that, but it seems like a situation where they need help. Like they need help from me, but more so they need help from services, and that's what I'm desperately trying to like make sure are in place for him, and I'm gonna keep doing that. But so where we're at now, oh, this is the other update. The bad son also stole his car. I think I mentioned that. It's finally back. They found it abandoned on the side of the road, and it got towed back. No keys or anything, so now he has to call and pay a locksmith to make new keys. It's a whole thing. There are a lot of moving pieces, and I just want to make sure he's going to be okay. Me and my fiance are moving soon, and we're not going to be able to keep taking care of him. So I'm working with whatever official channels I can, and also trying to do everything in my own power I can to help make this situation better. Share, like, comment, tell me your favorite color, whatever, in the comments. That would be amazing. If anybody cares, I'll keep you updated on the situation, but that's where we stand now. So yeah, if you ever hear your old neighbor calling for help, maybe don't ignore them, would be the wisdom I will leave you with here today. So thank you so much for watching.